All right, go ahead and get your notes out. Open them up to unit rates, homework 502, chapter 5.2, page 190. Okay, so if you remember from yesterday, unit rate is where you're going to write the rate, and then you've got to divide the bottom by it. So it's $1.32. So $1.32 for 12 ounces. So to do the unit rate, you're going to take $1.32 and divide it by 12. You can do that on a calculator. You should end up with basically 11 cents per 1 ounce. Okay, so we want the unit rate of 1/4 of a gallon for every 3/10 of a mile. So again, if we have 1/4 gallon for every 3/10 of a mile. So you're going to take the 1/4. You can use your calculator, those fractions, or you can use the Desmos scientific calculator on the computer, which also has fractions. So we go 1/4 and divide that by 3/10, and you should end up with 5/6 gallons for every 1 mile. So 5/6 gallons for every mile. There is 1/4 gram of fat for every 1/3 tablespoon of powdered peanut butter. How many grams of fat are there for every tablespoon of the powder? So that is 1/4 grams for every 1/3 tablespoon. So you're just going to do 1/4 divided by 1/3. And you get 3/4 grams per 1 tablespoon of the powder. So remember, with unit rate, you're going to do the bottom or the top divided by the bottom. All right, go ahead and turn the page in your notes. We're going to find the missing value in the ratio table. Then write the unit rate of grams per cup, the unit rate of cups per gram. So if you remember with a chart to figure out how to go from 2/3 to 1/6, you can start in the calculator by typing in the 1/6 and then divide that by 2/3 and you get 1/4. So that means I'm timesing this by 1/4, which means I times up here by 1/4. So I go 1/4 times 5/2. And I end up with 5/8. Now, how do you go from 1 to 5/8 or 5/8 to 1? Start with 1 in your calculator and divide that by 5/8. And you get 8/5. So you times that by 8/5, which means down here I times that by 8/5. So 8/5 times 1/6 gives me 4/15. And then here I go 15/4. Divide that by 1. I get 15/4, so I'm going to times that by 15/4, which means down here I'm going to times that by 15 over 4. That gives me 1. Then to go from 1 to 4, I'm going to times that by 4. So I'm going to times this top by 4. So 15 over 4 times 4 should be 15. Yep. So that is the chart. Now, we want to get the unit rate of grams per cup. So grams, you can pick any one you have here. I'm going to go ahead and take the 15 and the 4. So 15 grams per 4 cups. If I do the unit rate, I would go 15 divided by 4. That would give me 3.75 grams per 1 cup. And then if you were to do the unit rate for cups per gram, if you start with cups, I can start with the 4. Or let's go ahead and use this. So we're going to use 2/3 cups. And then that means 5 over 2 grams. So if I take 2 over 3 and divide that by 5 over 2, and then I'm going to change the fraction it gave me to a decimal. So you could put 4 over 15 cups per 1 gram. Or if you want to change it to a decimal, that would be 0.2 with a line over the 6 cups per 1 gram. So we were able to fill in the chart, and then we were able to find the unit rates, 2 different ones. All right, so this one says 2 people compete in a 5-mile go-kart race. So 5 miles is a key. Person A travels 1/10 of a mile for every 15 seconds. Person B travels 3/8 of a mile for every 48 seconds. Who wins the race? And what is the difference in the finish times? So for me, I'm going to go ahead and I want to get it to 5 miles. So I'm actually going to do how long does it take to go per mile? So 15 seconds per 1/10 mile. If I was to do that at a unit rate, I would do 15 divided by 1/10, which is 150. So it can go 150 seconds in 1 mile. So how long would that take it to go 5 miles? So if I times that by 5, 150 times 5 equals 750 seconds in 5 miles. Now the other person, they go 48 seconds in 3/8 of a mile. So 48 divided by 3/8, that gives you 128 seconds per 1 mile. So right away, I already know that person B is faster, so they're going to finish first. Now let's see, after 5 miles, so 128 times 5 gives me 640 seconds in 5 miles. So we know person B finishes first. So person B gets first. And then what is the difference in the finish times? So 750 seconds minus 640 seconds. That's a difference of 110 seconds, which should almost be 2 minutes. So they're 110 seconds faster. The next page. All right, so on this one, we're going to take the 0.8 miles, 45 seconds, and we're going to do our division. We end up with 4 over 225 miles per 1 second. Now I want to change that to minutes. So there are 60 seconds in a minute. So if I times that by 60, I end up with 16 over 15 miles per 1 minute. And then we want to know after 15 minutes. So if I times that by 15, we end up with 16 miles in 15 minutes. The other one is going 0.55 miles in 30 seconds. So on this one, I'm actually going to do it a second way, which is times this by 2. That's 0.55 times 2. That's going to give me 1.1 miles for every 60 seconds. So if I take 1.1, divide that by 60, 1 divided by 60. I'm going to now take that and times by the 15 minutes, because there's 15 minutes per 60 seconds is 1 minute. So 1.1 times 15 gives me 16.5 miles for every 15 minutes. So we want to figure out how far apart the buses were. So if one went east 16 miles and the other one went west 16.5, you would do 16 plus 16.5. And when I add those up, I get 32.5 miles apart. So they would end up being 32.5 miles apart from each other. All right. And then the last page is just examples. So you can look at the examples from the book. There's other word problems you can see. And go ahead and get started on your homework number 502.